How you doing, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm taking a look at the Mars Toys Doc Time, aka Dr. Emmett Brown from Back to the Future 2. Just having a quick look at the box before we get into the details. You can see it's a nice looking box. It has the rear of the time machine on the back of it and Doc Time written at the bottom and Mars Toys logo at the top left hand side. 1/6 collectible figure at the side, and then at the back we have an image of the two looks you can have for him. And if I just open the box there, and while I'm doing that, I could ask you to please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, guys. So here we go, the box is open, and on the inside cover here we have some very nice artwork. You can see the time machine landing or heading down towards 2015 Hill Valley, and then we have Back to the Future 2. This is the only Back to the Future text you will see on this box. On the inside cover here, you know, it doesn't say Back to the Future 2 anywhere other than just here on this little piece of artwork on the inside. So, you know, it's there. The Back to the Future logo is there. It's just not on the outside of the box. Just taking that cover off there, you can see we have the figure itself and all of the accessories that come with it. The three head sculpts are there and all those accessories. Now I will mention that I did take him out of the box already, because immediately when I seen him, I seen he had a broken wrist peg. Straight out of the box he had a broken wrist peg, and I've had to replace the wrist peg. Bit of a hassle to get it out. I did have to heat the wrist up. I had to put it in some hot water to soften it up and get it out. So anybody who does have this problem with a broken wrist peg will have to heat up the wrists, you know, have to immerse it in hot water and get a needle nose pliers and pull that out. So moving on, we'll get this guy out of the box and we'll just have a look at the details. We'll give him a quick pan down actually before we get into the details as usual. So just give him a quick pan down or up from bottom to top before we get into the accessories. You can see we have the base there, moving up to his boots. He has his trench coat on in this particular pose with the radio in his hand. Unfortunately, you can't put the radio up to his mouth because he is a single jointed figure. So yeah, a bit of a bummer. You can't get his hand up there. Not the end of the world, but there he is there with the trench coat and the head sculpt with the hat on him. That's one particular look for him there. So here we have all of the accessories that come with the Mars Toys Doc Brown. I'm going to start off with his coat. We'll get into it in a bit more detail with the coat when it's on him a bit later on in the video. But you can see there he does come with a, you know, an alternate look from with this long trench coat on it. It's lined quite well, and there is a bit of wire in the bottom of it for articulation. But like I said, when we get it on the figure, I'll take a closer look at him. Then we have his hands. We have 6 hands in total, and they are absolute clones of the Hot Toys hands. Relaxed palms, pointing finger, gripping hands, and another kind of half open gesturing hand. But just to show you, this is the Hot Toys hand here in my left hand, and on the right hand side we have the Mars Toys. Bit out of focus there, guys, I do apologize, but all the hands are absolute clones of the Hot Toys hands. So if you have the Hot Toys figure, you already have these hands, so to speak. He then comes with his radio, his movie accurate radio. Might be a little bit lighter in color than it was in the movie, but we do have it. I wish we had have gotten 2 of these. I would have liked another radio for Marty McFly. Not the end of the world. The aerial is fixed in the, you know, up position. Then we have his 2 watches. And this watch here is almost identical to the Hot Toys one, to be honest. It's got a bit of detail to it there. You can see the face there has a time on it and the gold rim around it. And then we have this one here, same as, little bit more detail in this one, as you can see there. It does have like a digital face at the bottom of it there and some hands on it, and it has that kind of chronograph kind of, you know, detail to it. And then we have what I have in my hand. We have his wrench. He comes with a wrench. And then we have his future binoculars that he uses when he gets to 2015. So we have that there. Then we have this detail here, or this little accessory here. If I can just get it picked up. But this is something that I don't think we've seen before. We haven't got this from Hot Toys or anyone else. This is the receipt for the sports almanac. We didn't get a sports almanac with this figure, but we got a bag for it, and we got the receipt for the almanac, which it's a different touch, you know. And then we have his newspaper clippings, and on the first one here we have Emmett Brown committed, just like it did in the movie, and you can see Nixon there at the right hand corner there. And then we have on this one here what it changes to at the end of the movie. We have Emmett Brown commended, and we have Reagan in place of Nixon there. So something we didn't get from Hot Toys. Nice little detail to have those here. And then we have his briefcase with the money in it, just like the Hot Toys one. And exactly like the Hot Toys one, you do have to take the stickers off, you know, individually, and place them in their, you know, positions that they need to go for the years and for the money. A bit of a pain to do. I would have liked to, you know, had them done already, but it is what it is. So there you have it for the accessories. So moving on, let's take a quick look at the figure itself. So here we have Dr. Emmett Brown straight up as he comes out of the box, or Doc Time straight up as he comes out of the box. I'll just move him out of the way there, and we'll have a quick look at the base. You can see that it is a typical Mars Toys base. Anybody who has any Mars Toys figures knows that they all come with this kind of metal effect nameplate, and they all have the same text on them. That's all the same text as any of the other Mars Toys figures that I have. And just like the Biff Tannen or the Bruce Wayne or the Joker figure, they all come with this exact same text on the front for the nameplate. And this one here is the same shape as the Back to the Future 2 Doc Brown from Hot Toys. Not the most interesting base in the world, but again, at the same time, not the most boring either. I've seen a lot worse. So moving on to the figure itself, and we will start off his... Oh, this clip has come undone. Hopefully this doesn't break when I clip this back in. That is very delicate. I don't like clipping this in at all. Those little press studs are plastic, and that is very, very delicate. That is a very scary thing to do. But anyway, starting off in my usual fashion, from bottom to top, we'll have a look at his footwear. And we have his camouflage boots. Kind of a basic mold, not the worst I've ever seen. No weathering on them. They are accurate. There's not a whole lot of shape to them, but you can see there, even though they are a boot, there's a heck of a lot of articulation in them. There's a lot of articulation. They're not restricted. It's quite wide at the top here. Yeah, you can see that there is some separation in the pattern. There's some nice camouflage pattern there as well, and there is a relief on the green bits there. They do look like, you know, a patch of leather put over the tan bit there. So there is a bit of relief in them. The same here at the front. Just this part here, you know, it does look like there's a leather patch put over this kind of beige part. So it's done quite well. I've no real complaints. No pattern on the sole, which is a bit of a bummer, because those boots should have a pattern on the sole. There should be a print on the sole. And you can see the combats just come down to sit over them, and you will only see kind of the bottom half of the boots. So they are done reasonably well enough, in my opinion. And then moving up, we have his combats, and completely movie accurate. I'm quite pleased with them. You can see we have a real functioning zip here. Does it? It should function. It is a functioning zip, as stiff as it is. It's quite stiff, and it's a slight bit oversized, but it does do, it does unzip if you so choose to. I'm not sure why you do it, but it's a nice detail from Mars Toys. The stitching in them is done pretty neatly as well. I do like the stitching. It's done very neatly. Around to the side, we have his pocket at the bottom of his leg, which is a functioning pocket, which does the job, looks the part. Then at the side here, we have another pocket with kind of a transparent part in it there. And, this plastic transparent part. Now, there is a bit of a bit of the dye gone onto the top part of it there, but it's not the end of the world. Again, it is a functioning pocket, and all the stitching is satisfactory. I've no complaints about the stitching. It's scaled down and looks the part. No weathering on the trousers. Again, is it really necessary? I do like to see a bit of weathering on things. It just makes them look that little bit more realistic. But this is a third party figure, so not to expect too much from it. On this side here again, the same pocket on the other leg. And then we have kind of a utility pocket for some tools to go in on this side. And then on the back we have his rear pockets functioning also, with little flaps on them there. And the trousers are up very, very high, and he is padded out. He does have a fat suit on him all the way down to the knees. I forgot to mention he does have a pair of white socks on him as well, but there is a fat suit running. Just feeling it there, all the way down the back and front, and all the way down as far as his knees. There is a fat suit just bulking him out a little bit there, because it is quite a small body. He is he a bit bigger than he was in the movie? I'd have to look back. No, I think it's about right. I think it's about accurate, yeah. And then he has his green belt on, and it is also functioning. If I can just unclip it there, and there we go. And it's not pleather, so you know it is made out of a material, so it's not gonna flake. The velcro at the front there, where the trousers come off or undo, you can just see it, the velcro there, but it's hidden really, really well. There's nothing atrocious about it. It's hidden really, really well, which with a lot of third party figures you can see the velcro. Even on old Hot Toys figures you can see the velcro sticking out there and it looks really bad, but that is done exceptionally well. You cannot tell that there's velcro underneath there. Now moving up to his shirt. His shirt is the train, it's the train print shirt that he's wearing pretty much all the way through part 2. He's wearing this shirt, and a lot of people might not have spotted, but in part 3 he's using a part of this shirt to cover his face when he's doing the train robbery, when he robs the train. It's faded, but if you look very closely, it is that shirt that he's wearing in part 3 over his face. And it's kind of funny how this train shirt is kind of a precursor, you know, to part 3 having the train printed on the shirt. I'd have to look back on the movie as to see if the length of the sleeves are that long. I think they're a bit longer than they should be on the figure, and I think the reason why Mars Toys have done this is to cover up the joints. You can see there that it is single jointed. His arms only go up as far as here, which is, you know, it's not the best. I think all figures should come with double jointed elbows these days. The wrist peg here is the one that came with the figure, and it's extremely loose. It's very, very loose. I've replaced this one here with a Hot Toys one. You know, Hot Toys give spare wrist pegs, so I've used one off a Hot Toys figure and it fits way better. Bit of an issue between the contrast on the hand and the arm. I'm not sure if that's picking up on camera there, but his hand is a couple of tones lighter in colour than the body. The body's a little bit too dark. They've used a body, in my opinion, that's just a little bit too dark. You can kind of see it there that the hand is a bit paler than the forearm, the rest of the body. So a little bit of a bummer. You know, it's not exactly ideal. There's nothing really much that can be done about it. Maybe a body swap, I'm not sure. Underneath the shirt we have, if I can get a bit closer there, we have his white t-shirt on underneath. I'm not going to undo those clips because they're so delicate. They're extremely delicate, and they are made out of plastic, as I said. So I'm not going to undo them. But you can see the collar of it there. The collar is a little bit thicker than it should be, but it does the job. And we have his wristwatch again covering up the joint, which is nice that it covers up the, you know, covers up the wrist joint. Or again, as I said earlier, it's quite well detailed. Nice little face on it there. And then on this side again, covering up the other wrist peg joint. Not as detailed as the other watch there, but it is a bit of detail there. It's almost identical to the Hot Toys one. The strap on it isn't great. It could have been done a little bit better. The wristwatch on this side here is far better than the other one, but at least we have all the joints covered up with the two wristwatches, which is, accurate to the movie. I do like that print on that shirt. It's printed really, really well, and one of the biggest reasons why I wanted this figure, because he's wearing this shirt pretty much all the way through Back to the Future 2. He's wearing it a lot. As I said, it's featured in part 3 as well. If you look closely, he's wearing it across his face when he robs the train. It's across his face. Again, if you look really closely, it's very faded, but you can see it is that shirt. So it is kind of in the third one as well, in a sense. So moving on, we'll get this guy a bit stable, and we'll have a closer look at the head sculpt. We'll look at each head sculpt independently, I suppose. He does come with 3 head sculpts, one of them being a bonus head sculpt for pre-ordering it, and there is also a frightened head sculpt, a separate head sculpt that you can purchase as well, which is actually on its way to me. So let's get this guy a bit stable, and we'll get this head sculpt a bit close in. So here we have head sculpt number 1. This is kind of the primary head sculpt. This is the head sculpt that comes on him out of the box. And as you can see there, it is absolutely fantastic. It is probably, in my opinion, to date, the best Mars Toys head sculpt, and definitely the best Dr. Emmett Brown head sculpt on the market today, in 1/6 scale anyway. It's definitely better than the Hot Toys one, and that's a bit of a bold statement, but the Hot Toys one is 10 years old this year, I think it came out in 2015, but you can see there is quite a lot of detail in this guy. There is a little bit of 5 o'clock shadow on him there around his face and down the bottom of his chin, at the side of his face there, and we have the age lines at the side of his face, which are really, really on point. His eyes are just the right size. I mean, Christopher Lloyd's eyes are quite kind of bulgy, so they look the part. But looking at that head sculpt there, it is absolutely fantastic. It looks just like Christopher Lloyd did as Dr. Emmett Brown in Back to the Future 2. The hair is sculpted really well. It for third party, it's quite well done. As you can see there at the side, there was a faint little seam line at the side, but it's hardly noticeable. I've seen worse, and then just moving it around to the back, you can see that there is a bit of depth to the hair as well. It's you can see all the little individual strands all coming back there, and it's not really restricting the movement of the head sculpt, even though it is kind of a long hair. It's not really restricting the movement of the head, which a lot of figures, when they have hair that long, it does restrict the movement. It is nice and bushy and thick like it was in the movie. Well, his hair was probably a bit thinner in the movie, but it's very difficult to do thin hair in sculpted 1/6 scale figures. But it does have the right amount of volume to it. Just looking at the side profile, you can see the paint applications are absolutely fantastic. The side profile looks just like Dr. Emmett Brown. You can see he has a bit of redness to his nose there, and under his eyes there's a little bit of darkness under the eyes as well. The paint applications are absolutely spot on. His eyebrows are done really well. I have zero complaints about this head sculpt, to be honest. The more I look at it, the more I like it, and I see more and more detail to it. It's far superior to the Hot Toys one. As I said, the Hot Toys one is old now at this stage, so I can see Hot Toys probably doing a 2.0 at some point of their Dr. Emmett Brown figures, especially if they take a look at this. But you can see the creases in his forehead there as well, and every single angle I look at this guy, I see Dr. Emmett Brown. It is absolutely spot on. I can't get over it. It's absolutely amazing. It's really nice. You can see the way the hair puffs out at the sides, which is absolutely spot on, and it tucks in behind his ears. His ears, it goes over his ears, should I say. And you can see the blend line where it blends from his hair to his forehead. There's no blemishes. It looks absolutely amazing. And what I'm going to do now is I'll just swap over to the alternate head sculpt, and we'll have a quick look at that one as well. And here we have one of his other head sculpts, with the hat on. I would have liked to have seen kind of maybe an option to stick the tag on like he has in the movie when he's in on that push bike when he goes down to Biff Tannen's house to rescue Marty McFly when he's on the bicycle. But it's not the end of the world. It's a detail that isn't necessary. He does rip it off, in that scene. But it is, as you can see there, it is pretty much the same sculpt. It's the same sculpt with just a hat on. It is, isn't it? Yeah, that's the exact same sculpt. Yeah, that's the exact same sculpt they've used. They've just, sculpted a hat on. Well, they haven't actually sculpted a hat on. It's a separate piece, as you can see. But you can see they've made allowances for the hat. They've puffed out the hair at the sides. And again, like the other sculpt that has very subtly has the mole there on the side of his face. All the details are there. The texture to the skin is, it's really, really, really good. There's quite a bit of texture to that skin. And it looks really well. Now, this is a sculpt that you should, with the hat on, you should really have the trench coat on if you have this head sculpt on. But yeah, absolutely fantastic head sculpt. And just blows the Hot Toys one out of the water, if you ask me. Absolutely blows it out of the water. Very, very difficult for me to decide which head sculpt I will be using, to be honest with you. I think I know what I'll be doing with these head sculpts. When we do the comparisons later on, I'll show you what I'm going to be doing with the head sculpts. And then we have the bonus head sculpt. We'll have a look at the bonus head sculpt that you get when it's a pre-order bonus that you get with them. So I'll just pop that one on them now. And here we have the bonus head sculpt. And I think this is the bonus head sculpt for pre-ordering. And probably the weakest head sculpts out of the three. Not terrible, not atrocious, but it is probably the weakest one. And it is an expressive one, so, I think they call this the frightened head sculpt. Now, they do offer a standalone head sculpt as well, Mars Toys do, with the frightened heads, with this head sculpt without the hat on, and I do have that on order. It's currently on its way to me, so if it arrives before I edit this video and post it, I will add it to this video. So there we go for the third head sculpt, the frightened head sculpt with the hat on. And again, it is, they have accommodated for the hat being on, where they've puffed out the hair at the back. And just moving around to the back there, you can see where the hair kind of puffs out and makes allowances for the hat that's sitting on top and looks the part. And as I said, the hat is separate. It is a separate piece that has been, glued onto the sculpt. So it does add that little bit more depth to the figure and really helps out with the realism of it. Again, another really nice option for him if you want to pose him with that frightened look. Like the Hot Toys figure, because both of the Hot Toys figures have the same head sculpt, and it is that frightened head sculpt. And if you look in the mouth there, you can see he has some teeth showing just at the top there, and at the bottom you can just see his tongue with a little bit of gloss on it, and it's a perfect color. It looks the part. It is a great option here. There is 3 decent head sculpt options here for him. And what I'll do just real quickly is I'll put them all side by side in one frame just to kind of give a comparison between the 3 of them. And here we go. 3 excellent options here. Now, obviously the middle one there without the hat on, in my opinion, is the strongest one and probably the best one. But the one on the right there with the hat on, being the same sculpt, is also an excellent option. The frightened head sculpt on the left, as I said, probably the weakest one, but still is an option and still is one of the best head sculpts for Doc Brown you'll ever see. They all are viable options, and they all look and are painted and are sculpted exceptionally well. I really don't have any complaints about any of them. The more I even look at the one on the right with the hat on, the more I like it. I'm in 2 minds as to which one I'm going to use out of those 2. So moving on, we'll have a look at him with the alternate look, or with his trench coat on. And there is a bit of an issue with this coat, and the issue being that the sleeves are too narrow. They're cut too narrow. Trying to get the sleeves up over his bicep was very, very difficult, to the point where it doesn't just quite sit right. Trying to get it up over those biceps was very difficult. It's very tight on him, very, very tight, and you can see there how it bunches up just here at the shoulder and just has this little lip on it. This side here ain't so bad, but this side here just is puffed up a little bit. I'm trying to kind of adjust it to get it down and foots with it to get it right. It doesn't fit him exceptionally well. It's glued to his biceps, which kind of restricts the articulation. Now, I know once you lift the arms on any 1/6 scale figure with a coat on, it does kind of lift away from the body. You're not going to be, over articulating this guy anyway. So just getting into the details anyway, it's made of a really soft kind of almost felt material. It's really, really soft material. It is movie accurate in the sense that it is double breasted. It does have the buttons in all the right places, and it has pockets at the side, and they are functioning, as you can see. It is the right length for him. Anybody who remembers the scene where he's cycling the bike, you do get a good look at the back of it, and it is cut down the middle just as it is in the movie. It fits him okay. It's not an absolute write-off. It's just, and as I said earlier, it does have a wire in the bottom of it as well. A nice little touch, but it's just a little bit tight on him in the arms. They could have been tailored a little bit better, so they'd be a bit baggier on him. It's not an absolute write-off. It does, if you foot him right, it does go on him. And if you pose them in a museum pose, which you probably would be doing, it does the job. The stitching is really, really nice on it as well. There's no stitching out of place. It's scaled down really well. It's such a soft material. It's really nicely finished. But, that is an alternate look for him there. Not necessarily the way I'd be posing them, I don't think. I think I'll be putting them in my Back to the Future 2 DeLorean. I think that's probably how I'm going to be posing them. I'm not 100% sure yet. So there we go for the alternate look with the trench coat on. So what I'll do now is I'll compare them to the Hot Toys Dr. Emmett Brown's. And here we have him standing beside his Hot Toys Dr. Emmett Brown counterparts. And he is almost identical in height, maybe a few millimeters taller actually than the Hot Toys figures. But definitely stands beside both of them very convincingly. And as I said, we'll have a close-up on the head sculpts and compare them in a few minutes, but I do believe that the Mars Toys head sculpt is superior. Anybody who has both of the Hot Toys figures knows that we got royally shafted on the Dr. Emmett Brown from part 1 in regard to head sculpt. They used the exact same head sculpt from the previous edition. Just let me get those glasses off. They used the exact same head sculpt, and they didn't even, we know he wears the glasses in part 2, but he doesn't wear glasses in part 1, and they didn't even fill in the holes at the side of his head. They just literally used the exact same head sculpt and made zero changes to it. It's the same head sculpt as they used in the first one they brought out, which was Dr. Emmett Brown from part 2. And they even kind of gave us the shaft on the base as well. The Back to the Future 1 is the old oval shaped base that they gave us, which it's a step down from the base that we got with the first one, which was the Back to the Future 2 Dr. Emmett Brown. And that was a much, much better, bigger and better base, and it is actually identical to the Mars Toys base. It's identical in size and, really fits in theme with the Hot Toys Dr. Emmett Brown from part 2. So, it's nice that they've done that. It's nice that, standing beside each other on their bases, they will, look in theme with each other. It's a nice little touch for them to do that. Not the same quality nameplate, but a nice little touch for them to replicate the same base for the figures, So what I'll do now is I'll get a close-up on these two head sculpts, the Hot Toys and the Mars collectibles, or Mars Toys should I say, and we'll do a comparison. And here we have the Hot Toys Back to the Future 2 Doc Brown on the left, and the Mars Toys Doc Time on the right. And again, nobody's going to disagree with me on this. The Mars Toys head sculpt is far superior. Now, I will give Hot Toys a break, given that it is a 10-year-old head sculpt at this point. They should have updated the head sculpt for the Part 1 Dr. Emmett Brown, which came out a few years ago, 3 years ago now, was it? About 3 years ago, the Dr. Emmett Brown from Part 1 came out, and they used the exact same soft head sculpt as they did for this one, which was a major letdown. Even the hair on the Mars Toys one at this point looks better than the Hot Toys one. Pretty much every single detail in the Mars Toys one is better than the Hot Toys one, and I don't say that very lightly. You know, Hot Toys are really good, but in this case, you know, the Mars Toys one is better. But what I've done here is I've popped the Mars Toys head sculpt on the Dr. Emmett Brown body from Hot Toys, and it absolutely elevates this figure to a whole new level. Just for this alone, just for this head sculpt alone to put on this body, I'm delighted that I got this figure. I think I'm going to keep this head sculpt on this body, because it just makes it very different to the Back to the Future 2 Hot Toys figure. We don't have the holes where the glasses go on, and it is absolutely convincing. You can see there the difference is night and day. They're very, very different head sculpts. So I am absolutely delighted with having this head sculpt on this body. It just makes a huge difference. That looks absolutely fantastic on him, and I think that's how I'm going to keep him. What I did have on this guy for the longest time, because I wasn't happy with the two head sculpts looking exactly the same on the Hot Toys figures, I did have this head sculpt here, and what I'll do is I'll just pop it on him. It's a bit cartoonish, a bit caricaturish, but I'll pop it on him and we'll have a close-up of it, and it kind of looks a bit funny now at this stage. So this is the head sculpt that I had on him, just to give a different look to him, you know, because I wasn't entirely happy with the Hot Toys one being exactly the same on both figures, so I changed it to this one. And looking at it now compared to the Mars Toys one, you know, it's very cartoonish. It was alright as an alternative at the time. It's a bit cartoonish, but not a bad old head sculpt. I can't remember where I got this from. Somebody might be able to tell me in the comments where I got this from. I can't quite remember. At a guess, I would say I got this from 1/6 Kit. I think I got this from. But yeah, it looks a bit caricaturish, you know, comedic, or, you know, exaggerated compared to the new Mars Toys one. As you can see there, it is, you know, the Mars Toys one is way, way, way superior. It's, you know, it's absolutely fantastic. I think that's going to be staying on this figure for me. So there we have it for that particular head sculpt there. So that about wraps things up. If you did like the video, please do hit that like button and press the subscribe if you haven't already. I would really love to see Mars Toys make more of these Back to the Future figures. I'd love to see a George McFly or a Lorraine Baines. Now, anybody who knows the lore knows that Crispin Glover, the guy who played George McFly, fell out with everybody to do with the movie. In fact, he sued the producers of Back to the Future after they used his likeness in Part 2. So only a third-party company is really going to make that figure at this stage, I'd say. But I would like to see, you know, to finish the line off, I would like to see some more of those figures. So thanks for watching, guys, and take care.